Today we're going to talk about 10 fantastic horror movies that are currently streaming for free on Tubi. Welcome back, my friends, to the Cobwebs channel. My name is Daniel, and I'm currently in a stage of life where I'm trying to save money right now. Honestly, I'm saving up to buy a new coffin. The one I usually sleep in during the day is getting a little uncomfortable, so that's a work in progress. But I took a look at Tubi recently, a free streaming service where you just have to watch a few ads to check out the movies, and I was blown away by the selection. It was even better than I remembered from the last time that I used it. So I want to talk to you about 10 movies I really recommend you check out. So without further ado, let's get started.
They've defied evolution for 300 million years, but now they're changing. The Nest.
The Nest from 1987 is about a small town sheriff who gets himself into a love triangle because an old flame comes back into town and threatens his current relationship. But right about then, a biological experiment goes wrong and hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of cockroaches are unleashed upon his small community. So back in the late 70s and early 80s, there were a ton of animals attack horror movies that were basically Jaws ripoffs. And that's kind of where The Nest fits in. A classic feeling animals attack eco horror film about cockroaches. And it does feel like Jaws because it's about that small town sheriff, and the atmosphere really feels like Amity Island. It's this small, like, New England seaside fishing village, and I absolutely love the way this movie feels. I mean, it feels like classic quintessential 80s horror, but then you got that small town seaside kind of thing, just so good. But the horror of it is fantastic. This has got a creepy crawly aspect turned up to 11. There are so many cockroaches, and the horror of them and what they do to people is pretty disgusting, pretty disturbing. But it would be one thing if it's just cockroaches, but no. It is mutant cockroaches, and the mutations, the body horror that comes out of this is like out of this world good. When I first checked this movie out, I was amazed that I hadn't seen the practical effects from this movie in like pictures online or magazines or just clips or just heard people talking about this movie, but I really hadn't. So the level of practical effects you get here was such a shock to me. So if this is a classic 80s horror that you haven't seen, man, I think you're going to have an absolute blast. Check it out for free today.
There have been men who have been burned alive for just a glimpse of what you are about to witness.
The Ninth Gate from 1999, which is about a rare books dealer who is hired to track down the last two copies of an ancient occult text, the Nine Gates of the Kingdom of Shadows, which is capable of summoning the devil. So this is a Roman Polanski directed film, just know that going in. And I actually watched it for the first time last night, and I really liked it. Now, apparently it didn't get such good reviews when it first came out because it was compared unfavorably with Rosemary's Baby. And yes, obviously it is not as good as Rosemary's Baby, but it is such a cool horror movie, but almost more than a horror film. I would call it an occult neo-noir. Very much feels like a neo-noir because it is about Johnny Depp's character, who is this hard-drinking, smoking, private detective type guy, except he happens to be a book collector, book dealer. And he's just going from place to place, to person, investigating these books, trying to find out where they are, what's going on with them, and what they are capable of. I could see some people finding it slow, but I always found the investigation interesting. He's always going to meet weird, quirky characters. There's a quirky aspect to this movie that's just a little bit over the top in a way that I quite enjoyed. But it is such an occult film, and the ideas in this movie I found so interesting. Characters constantly discussing occult texts, ways of summoning the devil, whether it can be done. All the ideas, the conversations about these things, I thought was absolutely fascinating. So I really enjoyed this. It looks absolutely beautiful. It's incredibly well made. And the ending of the movie, you know, the whole movie is building up to, can you summon the devil? Can you enter through the ninth gate? It's obviously leading to something. And when the movie ended, I wasn't sure how I felt about it, but it's an ending that stuck with me. And the more I think about it, the more I really like it. So I think The Ninth Gate, even though it's got a lot of A-list caliber to it, I mean, Frank Langella is here as a great role. It's a little bit of a weird cult movie, and I think it's really cool.
What is this?
The Bloodstone was stolen from me.
He bit me.
Bloodstone, Subspecies II from 1993, which continues after the first subspecies with a woman who had just been bitten and turned into a vampire, now tries to escape the evil vampire Radu, who seeks her as his romantic love. So this is a full moon movie, and I kind of want to bring attention to one of these because Tubi has got a huge full moon selection. You can watch so many classic full moon movies on Tubi absolutely for free. It's really, really cool. And I'm definitely not a full moon expert, but I really like the Subspecies series. And I'm recommending the second one because this is kind of a situation where the sequel in the franchise is what really takes things off. I saw the first Subspecies movie quite a bit before I saw the second one, and I thought it was fine, thought it was okay. I didn't think too much of it. And then I finally got around to the sequel and I was like, oh, this is like the Wrath of Khan of the series. Like, this is where the series actually takes off and really forms what it's going to be going forward. It's like the Terrifier 2 of the series. You can start with the first Subspecies movie, sure, but it might not inspire you to keep going, and I think you should. So I think you could easily start with the second one. The lead character gets recast in this one, and not much about her previous character really carries forward. Subspecies 2 is so incredibly cool. Both 2 and 3, which are very close together, and you can watch both of them on Tubi, so this is really me recommending both of them. They are probably the best modern day set gothic horror movies that effectively feel gothic, like classically gothic. They are just dripping in the macabre, in creepy, gothic, cobwebbed horror. Anders Cove is amazing as the main vampire Radu, probably one of the creepiest vampires with his incredibly long fingers and his high-pitched whispering voice. Absolutely creepy. I really enjoy Subspecies 2 and 3. I actually think 3 is the best of them. So they are a 1-2 punch of macabre, gothic, vampire horror.
Please don't kill me. No.
Howl from 2015, which is about a group of passengers and employees on a train that breaks down in the middle of nowhere, and they discover there is a pack of monsters, werewolves, that are trying to kill them all. So this is a direct-to-video British werewolf movie that I was kind of familiar with for a while, but never checked it out. I figured it probably wasn't very good. I finally watched it sometime last year, and it knocked my socks off. Like, I could not believe how well done, how intense, how emotionally investing this werewolf movie is. Now, the characters are really well drawn. The ones that are supposed to be likable definitely are. And then, of course, it's a Night of the Living Dead situation where you've got very unlikable characters who are kind of ruining things for everybody else by trying to take over. But the werewolves are so effectively scary in this movie. It's quite a while before you actually see them and you just hear them. You see their hands maybe scratching against the windows. They feel like such a horrifying threat. This feels like an absolutely horrific situation to be in. And the violence, the kills are so brutal, so unpredictable. It feels like a movie where nobody is safe. You just never know how this is going to go. And when you actually see the werewolves, I do think it's a little bit of a mixed bag in that they do utilize some CGI, not 100%. It's not always great or effective. You got to understand, it's a direct-to-video movie. But the design, I thought actually worked really well. These are more human-like werewolves, which tends to be more what I prefer rather than just looking like a wolf. These look like people that turned into monsters. And when you see characters start to turn into werewolves, there's a simplicity to it as they get more wolf-like as they go. And I thought the design was scary. You know, to contrast it with like the Lee Winnell Wolfman that just came out this year, those are more human-looking werewolves that just never looked scary, never made much of an impact. These are scary werewolves. So I thought Howl was super effective, and if you just want a really intense movie night, it's gonna deliver.
Tales from the Crypt. Who's next? Perhaps you?
Tales from the Crypt from 1972, the classic horror anthology about 5 people who find themselves in a tomb. The Crypt Keeper explains why they are there through a series of frightening stories. So I'm sure 100% of you are familiar with the 90s TV show Tales from the Crypt, but did you know there was a movie version well before that in the early 70s? It was made by a company called Amicus, a British company that I absolutely love. They made a lot of classic horror anthology films. I actually have done a deep dive review on this channel of all of them. And Tales from the Crypt is one of the best, probably the fan favorite. Every story is at least good. And that is a rare thing in a horror anthology. Usually they're super uneven. Now, definitely there are standouts. There's one starring the iconic Peter Cushing, where he is an old man who is wronged and maybe he has to come back and seek revenge and such like that. And it's really effective. His performance is so good. It's so emotionally affecting. And one story here is probably the first case ever of a Christmas slasher. There's one starring Joan Collins where her house is attacked by a killer Santa Claus. And it's very festive and Christmassy, but also really horrifying and intense. So every story here works at least on some level. I think they're all good. The cast is so good, and it's just classic 70s British horror, which is a vibe I kind of can't get enough of.
Come on, let's go! Let's go! Come on, it's on!
Rogue from 2007, which is about a group of tourists who stumble into the remote Australian river territory of an enormous crocodile. The deadly creature traps them on a tiny mud island where they must fight for their survival. This is an incredibly intense Australian animal attack movie. It's directed by Greg McLean, who actually did Wolf Creek, which is known as like one of the most disturbing horror movies ever. I actually don't love Wolf Creek. I like Rogue a lot more. I think it works much more like as a cinematic experience, and it's more emotionally investing. The characters are definitely better. Weird thing about this film on Tubi though is there's another movie called Rogue that's starring Megan Fox that's entirely unrelated. And when you click on this movie in Tubi, it's going to show you a picture of Megan Fox from that movie. But I promise you, they are streaming the one I'm talking about. I clicked it. I tried it out. It's the Australian one. So you are safe to check it out. And I really like crocodile horror movies, and this is easily one of the best. When I first watched it, I really questioned, like, can crocodiles actually get this big? I mean, it seems like a dinosaur. It seems crazy how big it is, but this is a saltwater crocodile, and I looked it up. They're in Australia and they do get this big. It is like the scariest. Look at this picture. This is like one of the scariest things I've ever seen. So this kind of stuff can actually happen. Great cast here. You've got Sam Worthington, who's really good in this. He kind of got a lot of flack after the Avatar movies for not being that good an actor. Maybe it's because he's using his native Australian accent, but he's really good here, as well as Radha Mitchell. And this is one of those animal attacks movies. I really like this kind of thing where the animal is a threat, but there's something else that is a threat as well. And here it is the tide. They have gotten to safety where the crocodile can't get them for most of the movie, but the tide is coming in. They're going to lose their place of safety. So it's this ticking clock aspect. Can they get away from this crocodile in time? It is so intense. It is so scary. This actually pairs very well with Howl. You could do these as a double feature if you just want to have a heart attack one night, which you might want to. Rogue is awesome.
These poor dead bastards crave brains.
I just get a little confused sometimes.
Return of the Living Dead 3 from 1999. Having recently witnessed the horrific results of a top secret project to bring the dead back to life, a distraught teenager performs the operation on his girlfriend after she's killed in a motorcycle accident. So of course, this is the third film in the Return of the Living Dead series, and while the first two feel very consistent, sometimes a little bit too consistent to be honest, very fun comedy horror movies, I really love the first one. The second one has its charms. This one is incredibly different. Now, it takes place in the same universe, same basic kind of thing, but the tone is drastically different. It is a much more sad, tragic, and intense kind of movie, and I absolutely love it. I think it's my favorite Return of the Living Dead movie. It works very well as a romantic horror film because it sets up two young lovers and you really care about them a lot, but when the woman is killed, he uses the Return of the Living Dead kind of stuff to bring her back from the dead with just absolutely horrific results. It is so sad what happens to her. You really feel the tragedy of her slowly turning into a zombie. Melinda Clarke plays her. She is absolutely incredible in this. And I think this film is one of the coolest showcases for practical zombie effects ever. The effects are out of this world. I mean, they're good, but they're also just disgusting, horrific, creative. This is one of the most creative zombie movies I've ever seen. Like usually it's just, corpses stumbling around and gore. This movie's got a lot more up its sleeve. It's horrifying. It's directed by Brian Yuzna, absolutely fantastic cult director who directed a lot of cool stuff. I think this is his best movie. I think it's the best Return of the Living Dead series. It is sad, tragic, horrific. It is a full, complete horror experience.
This night onward, you shall bear my curse.
The Haunted Palace from 1963 is about a warlock who is burned at the stake and comes back to take over the body of his great-grandson to take revenge on the descendants of the village that executed him. So here's a pick if you want to watch a classic Vincent Price horror movie, and honestly, why wouldn't you? Technically speaking, this is put in Roger Corman, directed by Roger Corman's run of Edgar Allan Poe adaptations that he mostly did with Vincent Price. It's honestly one of my favorite runs of horror movies ever. Vincent Price plus Poe plus Roger Corman, it's awesome. But this only claimed to be based on Edgar Allan Poe, and it's really an H.P. Lovecraft film. It's based pretty closely on Lovecraft's The Case of Charles Dexter Ward, and they just took the title of the movie from Edgar Allan Poe, which is kind of weird, but this is one of my favorite Lovecraft films ever made. I love watching Vincent Price play this absolutely evil, ancient warlock who comes back from the dead through possession to possess his grandson, in which Vincent Price gets to play just a good guy, just a chill guy. And Price plays both roles so good. He's so likable and so hateable on opposite ends of the spectrum. Great supporting cast. You've got Lon Chaney Jr. in here, Deborah Pageant as his wife, who does a great job, Elisha Cook Jr., just so many great people and so many interesting Lovecraftian ideas, whether it be a horrifying creature locked away in a cellar or some kind of god that the warlock is trying to communicate with. While usually witchcraft horror films are about Satanism, this one isn't. It is those more Lovecraftian ideas that I think is really cool. The atmosphere is classic 60s gothic horror. I mean, you're going to be pressed to find one with better atmosphere than this permanently foggy village, villagers who walk around with weird deformities, and of course, a haunted castle. It is awesome. I love The Haunted Palace.
This isn't the end.
The Void from 2016, which is about a police officer who stumbles across a mysterious bloody man and brings him to a hospital that becomes surrounded by hooded cult figures with horrific cosmic intentions. Now, The Void is a movie that I know a lot of you guys are a big fan of because I have gotten comments on this channel many times about The Void, like, when are you going to talk about The Void? You got to put it in one of these videos. Now is the time. And the funny thing about this is I saw this movie back when it first came out. I remember I actually bought it on streaming as soon as it hit. And I remember liking it, but I don't remember a lot about my specific reaction. And I just rewatched it and I was blown away. I was like flabbergasted by The Void. It is one of the best horror movies I have seen in a long time. But one thing I do remember about the first time I saw it is I thought it was a little bit too derivative of a lot of different influences. Like, you got Hellraiser in there, you got some of The Thing in there. But the funny thing is, I feel like when you're earlier in your journey on like watching a lot of movies, you see movies as ripoffs more. And the more films you see, the more you realize just how deep influences are. And it's like, the movie isn't a ripoff of Hellraiser, it's pulling from similar cosmic kind of ideas. That's what you got with The Void. And I love cosmic Lovecraftian horror. And The Void is one of the coolest aspects of it. It has got like everything you want to see. It has got cult members that have incredibly cool uniforms. I mean, these guys look so creepy. You have got monsters with some of the coolest practical effects ever. I mean, I just talked about that with Return of the Living Dead 3. Put The Void right in there. The creatures here are so horrific. And this is a movie that like was freaking me out while I was watching it because it just kept topping itself on how far it was going with the imagery, with the ideas, on how insane it was getting. It is a bonkers horror film. I love to just talk about bonkers horror. But unlike a lot of movies I put in that category, it's not silly. It's not goofy. It's not amusing. It is a bonkers horror film that is 100% dead serious and plays it all for scares. And I think it works. Like, it just kind of freaked me out to watch a movie that was dragging me down to this kind of depths. Like, there is a point in the movie where a character says, "We're in hell," and they sell it. It feels earned. I watch it. I'm like, yeah, they are in hell. Like, absolutely. So The Void blew me away on a second watch. If you haven't seen it or haven't seen it in a long time, streaming for free on Tubi, check it out. You're going to have an amazing time.
Oh, God. Hello?
The Awakening from 2011, which takes place in post-World War I England, where a writer and ghost hunter investigates a reported haunting at a boys' boarding school. So ever since I saw this movie last spooky season, I have not been able to shut up about it. I know, I just loved it so much. And I find it so interesting that the Rebecca Hall haunted house movie that gets all the press, that everybody always talks about, is The Night House. And I like The Night House, it's good. But I just think there's no question that The Awakening is the better movie, and it gets like none of the press, and I don't know why. I guess Night House just got more buzz when it came out. Maybe it came out at a time where horror was just bigger than in 2011, so more people bothered to check it out. But if you like The Night House and you haven't seen The Awakening, please watch this movie. Rebecca Hall gives a mind-blowingly good performance here, as she always does. She is, without question, one of the best actors working today. And I find her character so interesting because, yeah, she's a ghost hunter, a paranormal investigator, but she is a 100% skeptic, and she does it to debunk. She does not do it to actually seek out the supernatural. And she gets more than she bargained for at this particularly creepy boys' boarding school. And the haunting aspects here are really good. They're really creepy. It's got some very creepy moments. And I love the atmosphere so much. I mean, I love a horror period piece. And this is a gorgeous period piece. Fantastic period recreation. And it also works so well as a gothic romance. Like, this is a movie I never hear talked about as one of the great gothic romance films. And I think it is. Her and Dominic West, who I think he's never been better. This is the only time I've ever been like blown away by a Dominic West performance. So good. So if you like creepy, slow burn, period piece horror, if you like Rebecca Hall, you got to see this. Everybody that has watched it because I recommended it, that's come and told me, has loved it. So this movie is good. It hits. It just needs some more eyes on it. Before I wrap this up, I just want to give a huge thank you to my patrons who truly make this channel what it is. I mean, especially with what's going on lately, some of you know, I've appreciated your support so much, with a special thank you to Jake, Nicole Smith, and Nickel. You guys are the absolute best. So that's my list, but what are some movies you recommend that are on Tubi right now? Let us all know down in the comments below. Let's talk about Tubi's amazing selection. And if you enjoyed this, you can check out this video right here or this playlist for a lot of other of my recommendation videos. Thank you all so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't yet. I appreciate you. I'll see you next time.